And I'm not waiting until 2021 to sing another note out in public.
And
That's
see,
not an option for me
not,
or my band.
It's not an ego thing either. It's not at all an ego thing.
No.
It's a thing about where you're being nice to your neighbors and doing this just to give them something to do to get out of the house and not be insane. That's what you're doing right now. I mean, you're going out and you're just entertaining. Sure, it's of course it's a wonderful thing that you're doing it, and I can see where people might think it's an ego thing, but it's really not. It's about going out and keeping yourself sane, and people who go to see you enjoy the music, and they stay sane too because they're not locked in four walls looking at the lighting or looking at the TV 24/7 or whatever they do inside those four walls. You know what I mean? Well, hello, everybody. It's Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast, Season 1, Episode... You almost did it. See, I had to catch with you. I had to mess with you a little bit, Andrew. Go ahead. And Season 1, Episode...
11, 10?
10, man. This is 10. We're full
That's my number. That's my lucky number.
I figured out how we're going to do this right away.
Okay.
You know, you're always talking about the spirit fingers thing. I'll do 10, and then you can do 1 next time. So until we get to 20. And then I guess that'll be a season, and we'll start over again. What do you think?
Yeah, well, not over. We go forward with new content.
Okay, forward. Okay, so that's, but what I'm saying is that, you know, I've been doing it 1, 2, 3 for season 1, now up to 10.
Right.
So we're going to need more fingers. So now we're going to have to use your fingers to do the thing for the spirit finger.
All right. I like using my fingers.
So I'll be 10
stuff.
all the time for the rest of the episodes, and then you'll be the 1 to all the way up to 20.
Sure. I'm going to forget that next episode, but whatever.
I'll remind you before we do. Well, I'll remind you in the weekly meeting that we have every week.
Yeah, how you doing, Kevin? It's a new week.
I'm great. It's been kind of a crazy week. You know,
Yeah.
I've been busy. I've been doing a few things around the house. I've been, we've been just working around the house a little bit. Installed an air conditioner, of course, this summer, and a new garage door, and we put a new fan in the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, it's about time. You know, summer's hot.
It is hot.
Stuff breaks down, you know.
It's 104 degrees today in places. 108
I know.
tomorrow.
That's crazy.
It's hot. It's summertime. It's summertime. It's summertime. And people are going to the beach and having a good time. I'm glad I can't go to the beach, unfortunately, because I have too much stuff to do here. But, you know, it's been a good week. It's been a very good week. I made a little extra money here and there and doing odd jobs and a few things. How about you? Have you had a good week this week?
Yeah, I actually picked up quite a bit of new voiceover work, so I'm putting the booth to good use right now.
Good.
Yeah, but you know, tonight we're a little delayed in getting to the show because I had to figure out my dinner crisis.
We're very blessed with all the work that we get sometimes.
We are.
But and you're able to afford a huge dinner on the money that you make with all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you make per year.
That's the thing. I like to eat on a budget. I mean, let's be honest. I am bougie also. Like, I should have been born and raised in South Orange County, but I pull it off very nicely. But tonight was a budget night for me. Okay. And I chose to order food from, and I'm just going to say it because I have no shame, Mimi's Cafe. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Pretty good food there. They have a couple of things I like.
And I'm a fan of their food.
They
However,
got roast beef there that's really good.
Yeah. So what I was going to do was check out on my order online because, you know, you got to pick up to go because, you know, COVID.
Right.
And
they don't have social distancing in there. You can't go in and sit down and eat.
No, I don't think that's a thing right now.
Huh,
yeah,
okay.
you have to eat outside, I think. I think that's still a thing.
Oh, I thought you could go in. Oh, I guess maybe that's okay.
You could go in and pick up or pay or whatever. Anyways, I had an extra charge on my bill, and I looked at it, and then I looked at the small print, which was talking about charging 120% my tax and gratuity. It ended up becoming like $8 or $9.
Wait a minute, 120%?
I had to read it a couple times, and I should have screenshot it, but I forgot to. But it's definitely said 120%, and I was thinking, that's COVID. That's definitely COVID. I've heard about this, and I've read about this. That's a COVID charge. They're obviously not calling it a COVID charge, but that's what it is. So, you know, if a business is going to do that to me, I have other options. I don't need to go to you, and I'm not going to you. So I ended up going somewhere else, and actually, I ended up saving $15, and some of the extra money that I had, I ended up tipping the guy who who gave me my food anyways. You know, when businesses do COVID charges like that, I get you're a business and you're trying to survive, but now you're taking away from me as a consumer wanting to tip the person because I'm already paying more for my meal.
I'm sorry. I don't think the COVID thing is an excuse to add more onto a check. No way.
Okay. And we got into this tonight on Facebook, not you and me, but me and somebody else. And it's an extra charge because all these businesses, all these restaurants have to do all these new standards and protocols and bring it up to par, and it costs money. Okay. Well, listen to this. This is my defense to that. If restaurants need to do that, and I'm not talking about the mom and pops, I'm talking about all those franchise corporate chains out there where you sit down and eat. If that's what you have to do, then maybe the executives that run corporate should be taking a pay cut to balance out those extra $4 or $5 fee charges that you're putting on your customers' bills.
I just think that, I'm sorry, but I don't. They already charge exuberant amounts of prices anyway, in my opinion. Okay, I mean you're paying $9-10 for a beer, or you're paying I get it. Most of these places like Mimi's and Chili's and Red Lobster and Olive Garden, usually when you order a meal, you get 2 meals.
Yeah.
Plus the service, the wait staff and the service and it's the experience. You're looking for the experience. You're getting that. Like as opposing to going to McDonald's or In-N-Out Burger, you drive through, grab your own stuff, get your own Coke, etc. Now here's the thing. And then they want you to pay your waitress or your bartender or whoever 18 to 20% gratuity now, and that's fine too. I believe my mom was a waitress, and you should definitely, if you get great service. A lot of times you don't get great service and you get cold food in a lot of those places.
And I don't tip. I only tip. Fun fact, if you ever get me as a customer, I will only tip you how you treat me. So if you if you treat me like, an amazing, if you treat me like a celebrity and pamper me and do everything that you should be doing, you're going to get a fat tip at the end of the night.
Well, that's what I do too. I mean, that's the only way. That's the reason. You should be getting. I mean, oh my gosh, I'll tell you a story here in a minute too about an experience I had this week too as well. But yes, if you're going to give me good customer service and you're going to come and fill my water and who I'm with to check their waters and ask if I want refills and would you like dessert or would you like more salad or would you like more? If you're attending to me and I realize you have 6 or 8 tables and that you're working in a section or whatever, but if you're really paying me good customer service, then I'm going to tip you a good amount. And I've done that before. But if you leave me sitting there with a dry salad or no extra salad dressing, or you don't, I drink my drink and you see that I drink my drink and you're still waiting on other people.
Or you go by the table multiple times and not address it.
Exactly. I'm not going to tip you as much. I mean, you have to be, I mean, I see, there's tables that have, 20 people at them and they make an $800 or $1,000 bill and they leave $20 because obviously the customer service wasn't good.
Yeah.
And then they'll leave $100 if the server, $120, $150 if the service was good.
Exactly. And you know what? That's how I am. Like if you treat me great, I'm going to treat you great back. And so the mentality is, well, Andrew, if I do that, not everyone's going to tip like you tip, yada, yada. And hey, guess what? That's the gamble. That's the name of the game. Guess what? You are doing what they call customer service. Sometimes you get some good ones. Sometimes you get some bad ones.
Well, let me tell you, customer service.
If you kill them with kindness, chances are you're going to come out more on top than not.
I got to tell you one story this week before we go into our guest, because we have a great guest coming up for you tonight. We'll talk about that in just 1 second.
Yeah.
We're talking about, I went out to eat at Del Taco. I stopped.
And I love Del Taco.
But this is the problem I had. You're not going to believe this.
Oh, no.
I went to Del Taco. I ran an errand. I went to go get groceries. Or I can't remember what I went to go do. Oh, I know what I did. My trailer on my truck. I have a couple of trailers, a couple of utility trailers. And one of the trailers, the door broke.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, the hinges were coming off, and the door was like getting like this. Well,
right.
In order to, I had to go to Home Depot to get some bolts to repair these doors. I thought, well, I'm going to go through Del Taco and get something to eat. So I went through Del Taco and I ordered 2 Del Tacos, which is supposed to have lettuce, tomato, meat, cheese. They're supposed to fill this taco shell up. Well, when I got through, and I did this through the drive-through, and when I got out into the parking lot after going through the drive-through, I opened it up because I was just going to eat in the parking lot and then go into Lowe's and get my stuff.
Okay.
There was 3 little tiny tomatoes and a little patch of lettuce, and then there was meat and there was cheese. And I'm like, this is not what I ordered. So I go back in. And they tell me this all the time. I'm going to let her in because she's wanting to be admitted, and I'll let her in, and she can hang on for a second. Here's the thing about it all the time. I basically, in a nutshell, went in, and they had these 3 little tomatoes on and these 3 little spots of lettuce. So I went back in, and the lady, first thing she did was argue with me about the whole thing.
No way.
Yeah, she says, "Oh well, here's what we have a certain amount of food we can put on, and we have a certain amount of
what?
We only put a certain amount of meat. And I've heard this before many times: a certain amount of meat, a certain amount of cheese. And I'm going, look, it doesn't even look like the picture. You see lettuce and tomatoes on that. I want lettuce and tomatoes. So they remade it again. I walked out to the car. Sure enough, what happens? Same thing. Three little tomatoes. So I went back in. So this manager began to argue with me. I said, look, I don't care. I just paid you $12 for tacos. $12 for 4 tacos and 2 drinks. And you're telling me that you can't put more. Well, I said, look, I don't care. And she started going to this big spiel about corporate and the whole bit. I said, I don't care. And so it made her mad. Basically, in a nutshell, it made her mad. So then she starts talking to me about, if you come back in again, I'm not going to make your tacos anymore. You're going to have to take those and pay for them. I'm going to look. If you make them right, I won't have to come back in. The picture shows lettuce, tomatoes, and meat. And you send me, look at this. And then if one of them fell out onto the counter. So here's where I got mad.
Oh my God.
So she goes, I'll just give him a side. I go, no, you're going to make this over because my food is cold now as long as we've been arguing about this. And she goes, well, if you come back in, we're not making them anymore. I said, that's fine, but you'll get my money back, one of the two. So this taco fell out on the counter. And if you've been into Del Taco anywhere near us, they have chairs and like a desk thing now in front of the counter. So you can't stand there at the counter. You have to stand back. So they made my tacos and gave me my tacos, and I said thank you. And I was walking out the door. She tells the lady, be sure and change your gloves because he probably has the coronavirus. And I'm like, you effing. And so I went back and I said, what did you say? And she goes, you heard me. I go, I don't think I did. You want to say it? So she walked off, and I go, what did she say to the other lady? And the other lady goes, well, you heard her right, sir. You heard what she said. And I go, well, I'll tell you what, I don't have the coronavirus. She goes, well, I don't know that. I've been tested, and have you? And I go, yeah, I've been tested, which I hadn't really been tested. I told her that because it was ridiculous.
You got to commit, though. You got to commit to the fight.
I should have committed. But I'm thinking, man, how you expect me to go to your establishment and then the customer is supposed to be right. You're supposed to give me good service. You're supposed to do things for me, and I'm paying you $12 for tacos, and you don't want to fill up.
So I mean, rule of thumb in any customer service,
absolutely,
just do it. Like they should have just made you the damn tacos.
Who's this girl on here? Oh, there's that girl that we. Hi, Jill. How are you?
Yeah.
Hey, we have a great guest today. I'm gonna let Jill sit in here a little bit because we're still in our monologue, but I'm gonna let her sit in because she's special to me.
She's a Las Vegas superstar.
She's special to me. I love this girl so much. She's been my friend for such a long time, and we'll talk about Jill in a minute. But anyway, let's talk about one more thing real quick, Andrew. Before we get into this.
Sure.
We talked about. You go on about your rant. I'm listening.
Okay, all right.
You can just sit there and look pretty for a minute, Jill. We're talking here. So we're talking about. So anyway, I got my tacos and I went home and ate. I didn't get sick. They didn't spit at them or anything, as long as I know. But I just thought the customer service was really bad. And
I've never had that experience ever.
I'm very picky about my food, as we've discussed before. But when you're paying $12 for tacos, or you go to like you did, Mimi's, and pay $50, you expect to have good customer service and expect to not get a COVID charge, especially. That's ridiculous. That's just so stupid.
Because here's the argument, for anyone that, is Mimi's, I can make it at home myself. I don't have a problem doing that. I was trying to give a business in the community the benefit of the doubt and try to throw some change their way. And if that's the kind of stupid stuff that I have to deal when I'm being charged, I'll go to another business in the community that's not doing stupid stuff like that.
And they're not even a mom and pop business.
Their waiters
they're a national chain.
their waiters will get my tip, and I'll save money in the process, and I'll have a good meal.
Well, I've been cooking at home a lot more. We've been staying at home a lot more, and I cook at home a lot more. My food's better, and I don't really miss the fast food per se.
Yeah.
I mean, if I have to go to a gig or if I'm having to go to a job somewhere and I grab something through the drive-through, but I don't go into these places and, I don't go get haircuts like you do. I mean, you went and got a nice new haircut. You look so pretty today.
I mean, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I mean, if I have to be honest, I'm not too ridiculous either, because just like yourself, I've been staying home a lot too. Usually what I'll do is I'll call up my chef and they'll prepare it at their house and then bring it over to my house.
You got a chef. See, I don't have that.
Well, he's not in my house though. He's cooking it at his house and then brings it to my front door. So I'm being practical.
Yeah. I didn't even know you had a chef. When did this come about? Are you making so much money that I didn't know this? Where's my contract for all this stuff?
I just, I'm not that bougie.
I'll call up my chef. Let me get my butler and take my limousine down to Del Taco to get my 4 tacos. Okay, whatever.
So, anyways, you said you wanted to talk about something else real quick?
Well, you wanted to talk about the morning shows, ABC, NBC, CBS, and the fourth show that we didn't talk about.
So there's 4 networks. Okay, you have your options in the morning shows. CBS's morning show, the Today Show on NBC, ABC has Good Morning America, and then for all you conservatives out there, there's Fox and Friends. Here's the problem I noticed. There is no Fox News Network morning show on your broadcast channels. It's just ABC, CBS, NBC. And what's even more interesting is with diversity, there's a black woman or a woman of color on NBC, CBS, ABC's morning shows, but Fox doesn't.
Well, Hoda Yote or whatever her name is.
She's Egyptian. That's Egyptian. Africa.
Yeah.
So woman of color.
Right. So, and they got Robin Givens, and they have
Robin. Is it Roberts? I think it's Roberts.
Robin Roberts, right? And then Gail King. Or Gail Knight.
Gail. I love Gail.
She got married because she used to be Gail King, right?
Mm-hmm. Robin's actually
Oprah's
my favorite
friend. That's how she got the job.
No, actually,
Gail was actually on Oprah first.
No, I think Gail had something going in the media, and she brought Oprah through. Isn't that how that worked out?
I don't know.
We'll
have to investigate that later. But yeah.
But my point is Fox doesn't have that, and maybe it's not their demographic, but I've always believed diversity is a way to push whatever message it is you're trying to get out there. So why not? It's a super competitive time slot to begin with. So if you're trying to fight for viewers, it would make sense that you guys would all kind of line up with the right look. You know what I mean?
Well, California is very Democratic, though, and Fox and Friends is very Republican. So maybe that's why. I will tell you, though.
These are national, though. These are national, so it's across the board.
I will tell you, though, in my opinion, that I thought that when Fox 11 was on and they had Jillian Barberie, Dorothy Lucy, and Steve Edwards on, that was the best morning show in my opinion ever.
Right, but that's a local
morning show.
They're
local. You're right, but they're local. But they honestly were better than the national people, I thought. Yeah. And they had national recognition because of the fact that recognition. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm waiting for you to get the right word.
Yeah, I will get that eventually. It's one of those words that I have to make up every week.
It's okay.
Because they were really good, and then they got kicked off. They were just gone one day, and now the morning show that they have on Fox is just terrible. Yeah. So they should bring Fox and Friends in my opinion, or either bring Dorothy and Jillian and Steve back.
Look, there's plenty of men and women of color that are conservative enough that have a prominent voice that would be just fine on that show. I just don't get why they're not as diverse.
I'm going to bring Dorothy, Jillian, and Steve on one of these days. They do a podcast. So I bet we can get them on here.
Yeah, let's talk about it. They'll know.
If we can get Milli Vanilli on here next week, which we are. Milli Vanilli's coming next week, believe it or not. The girls from Milli Vanilli, Linda and Jody Rocco, are going to be here next week. I'm excited about that.
That's what happens when you have a budget.
Oh, right. But this week let's talk about this girl too. And I'll tell you, you're always saying fun facts. Let me give you a fun fact about this lady right here.
Fun fact.
Her name is Jill Marie Burke. The fun fact is that she is also been contracted for Legends in Las Vegas, and she's does the Pat Benatar imitations in Legends in Las Vegas. She has a band called Live from Earth. But here's the fun fact part of that. That's just standard information. That's sure. A fun fact about Jill?
What's that?
She has a famous uncle. And you're
no
gonna love this.
way.
Yes. Her famous uncle is, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You'll never guess.
Well, that's why I'm ready.
Johnny Mathis is her uncle. Do you know who Johnny Mathis is?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, come on, Andrew. You're too young.
Who's
Chances
are
you don't know who Johnny Mathis is?
I know
he's one of the biggest crooners of all time.
Right. He sells mattresses, right? The
No.
Mathis brothers.
Not mattress,
Right? Oh.
Mathis. Johnny
yeah.
Mathis.
Yeah, the Mathis brothers. They sell mattresses.
No.
In the Inland Empire.
Oh man, you need to. Oh my gosh.
Kevin, can you do a good impersonation of him?
Chances are. Is that right? Right.
Yeah, there you go. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I love Johnny Mathis. He's one of like the biggest crooners. He's been around forever. He's like Sinatra and all those.
And Michael
he's
Bublé,
huge.
yeah.
He's better than Michael Bublé. Michael Bublé's good though. I admit that.
Yeah, gotta love.
So we're going to
bubble.
welcome our guest, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome all the way from Los Angeles, California, somewhere down there, Jill Marie Burke. Everybody.
Yay!
Jill is like really. She's very good. She's been recognized by Pat Benatar herself as being one of the best Pat Benatar imitators, tribute artists in America.
Yeah,
probably the world as far as I'm concerned. I
hey,
love
Jill, how's Vegas? That's a joke.
Look at this. Well, I was there in the fall,
Yeah,
and I was supposed to be there again last month, but alas, everything has
been
changed.
put on hold, man.
So,
That's
but you'll
gotta
be
be
back
good for
eventually.
you.
You'll be back eventually. They'll have you back. You know they're going to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that Las Vegas right now they've got some kind of drive-in concert thing that they're trying to put together. So every single Las Vegas right now is in on it, or at least would probably like to be in on it.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So a couple of us approached Legends, are like, "Are you aware of this?" So they're already in on it as well. And a couple of us were like, "We'll do it in a heartbeat."
So
What
until then,
else is going on?
you're just hanging out in the attic up there. It looks like.
I am. Do you like that?
Is that? Do you
It's
have
a loft.
You have a loft in your home? Man, I'm
I know.
hanging around with all the good people. Look, I have a little bedroom here that I'm living in, and this is my one-room shack right here. And you guys got a chef and a limousine driver, and Jill has a loft. What am I doing wrong?
Well, Kevin, it's the contract negotiation. That's
I
where
guess I'm terrible. I'm a terrible
did not
contract
well.
negotiator.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
you're
next
non-negotiable.
season. So
Well,
okay,
well-
so Jill, how long have you been imitating Pat Benatar?
Well, let's see. We started our band in 2013, Live from
Okay.
Earth, and that is a band that has done Hesperia with Kevin for about three different summers. I think we did it.
We did it twice. The third we
Twice or
didn't get to do the third one yet. We haven't done the third one yet. Only twice.
Oh yeah, that is.
You raised
if
your
we're on
prices
your-
to afford that loft. That's what the deal was. We
Yeah,
have a
we
budget.
were on your first season,
What's that?
and well, the band started 2013. We've been going ever since, and then in 2016 was the first time Legends in Concert approached me about coming to Vegas. But then it was just a scheduling conflict, and I wasn't able to fit it in until literally last fall, 2019. And they just said, we haven't had a Pat Benatar yet. Like you would be debuting it. So, and I was like, I just got to fit it in on an off time. They wanted me to come right in the middle of summer, which is usually our band's, busiest season.
Right.
So then he said, how about September, October, November? And I said, perfect. So
it's
I went
a
out
great
and
show.
did it. And
It's a great show. I saw some of the stuff on the internet. I was going to try to get over there to go, but I didn't get a chance to go. But I've seen, I've known Jill we've known Jill 3 or 4 years now, probably.
Yeah.
And she's probably, in my opinion, and I'm not saying this just because I'm prejudiced or whatever. I think she's probably the best Pat Benatar tribute imitator in the world or the United States. Where she looks like Pat Benatar on stage, she acts like Pat Benatar on stage. Her band sounds like Pat Benatar's band. I mean, if you haven't ever had a chance to see Jill, you definitely need to go see her as the Live from Earth, the tribute to Pat Benatar, because and she has Tim, who also does Neil Giraldo. He's a Neil Giraldo guy.
Tim, you're downstairs somewhere. Where are you? He's down on the first floor.
So Jill, I have a question for you. Pat Benatar is like a huge 80s icon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is my question. oldie stations that play like the older music, like the Pat Benatars and stuff, like whenever an artist is considered like on the oldie station, I mean, now the 90s is the oldie station, which is just mind blowing to me. But I've always wondered, like, when those bands who are still bands are releasing new music, those oldie stations don't play the new stuff. So I guess my question to you is, anything new that Pat's doing, have you tried to encompass it into the show? Anything new that she's trying on stage, or do you stay to a particular era of Pat Benatar?
Good question. No, I do try and stick to earlier era. I'll go anywhere from the start of her career up until about 89, 90. But over the years, our band's been around for 6-7 years. We start sliding another couple of songs, and that, like, there's a 1993 song called Everybody Lay Down. She does it in concert. It's kick ass. You don't care what era it's from, I will definitely, we've incorporated that song. And she did release a song around the time of Trump's inauguration.
Oh, she
did. But it was just a song about unity for women. It was during like the big women's march.
Right.
And it was mainly basically for all of her fans, because she hadn't gotten into the studio very much, but she felt inspired to do this song. And then our band did an acoustic Live from Earth show. And so I was able to slide in that song as well. But now, I mean, mostly it is iconic Pat, early mid 80s.
Gotcha.
For the most part.
Now you've met Pat Benatar, right?
I did. I met her once.
And
like for 2 minutes.
Now, did you meet her in character, or did you meet her as Jill?
No, as Jill. It's a funny story. I crashed an event.
No way.
Oh yeah, no, it was all legit. A producer of an afternoon event where her and Neil were receiving an award.
Uh-huh.
And he was producing the whole function, the whole event. And he said, Jill, you're not going to believe this, and explained it. And I thought I was actually going to perform at the event. Then I got booted out by some Disney Channel little chick singer. So I'm like, well, that didn't work.
That's the way it always works.
Oh, yeah. The client was like, I want this girl. And I'm like, that's fabulous. And I said, well, I'm still getting into the function. I said, just get me in as like a coordinator or something. Let's crash the joint.
Right.
So we did. And then I before the luncheon actually started, I watched Pat and a couple of her friends, because she's got to have some people with her, right? They went into the restroom. And then I said, okay, they're coming out of the restroom. Like, it's now or never. You have to just grab your balls and approach her and just say, hi. And really, legitimately, what I wanted was, I quickly explained, I have this band. I'm actually officially asking you for permission for this, is this okay that we're doing this band? And she was so sweet. She's like, oh, honey, that's all free domain. Like, it's all good. She was so cool about it. The whole interaction was for like 2.5 minutes. She's like, oh, she had long hair at the time. And she said, she feels my hair. It's like, oh, you have that short hair. Gosh, I miss my short hair. And I just snapped a picture. I said, I really, really hate asking this. I got to get a photo. I'm almost in tears. She's super sweet. We're head to head. She leaves. Then it hits. Then I start oh my God, I read it.
That's the teeny bopper in you.
Oh yeah. Then it was delayed reaction. I said, well, if I never get a chance to speak to her again, at least it happened once. I caught it on film. What am I going to expect? What's really cool is the admins, or the heads of her official fan club, came to the Legends concert in the fall. So I was like, really, you guys want to come see me at the Legends in Concert show? And they're like, yeah. So it was very cool to meet all three of them, who have worked side by side with Pat for probably 25 years.
And how did they assess your Pat Benatar character?
I think they liked it. I think it was fine. I even asked for, I asked for things or pointers or information. I've inquired about they're the encyclopedias of Pat, right? So I asked them certain facts, about her past, about concerts, about what she was wearing, about whatever. They were there, I wasn't. So they're a great source of information, and they're actually very supportive of her tribute bands. But in particular, it was very nice to meet them. And now, we're on speaking terms, and that's great.
That's how it works, right? You're impersonating, and I imagine, so you're part of this big concert in Las Vegas. So the army, the fan army, because every major superstar's got their army, has to come out, into behind enemy lines to assess you, to see if you're doing justice to their general. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the fans themselves, I watch them and listen to them stuff, but I mean, I don't push my existence on them at all. They are very loyal. They don't really want anything to do with tribute bands, that they have Facebook pages and such. I don't post anything about myself on there because I don't want to hear any snarky comments.
You don't want to get the feedback, etc. I understand. That's how it is with me. I don't want to be in anybody's Facebook either, I guess. I'm so who would I imitate? Eugene Levy?
I love it. I love the drama. I say bring it on. Let me tell me how you really feel, But that's me.
My fame to Pat Benatar was when I was a kid in college. I got to roadie a couple of her shows. I worked on the Crimes of Passion tour, and I worked on the Get Nervous tour. And I was a roadie for both of those tours for a little while, and that was kind of cool. That was my college days. That was during summer break from college, and I got to be a roadie on a couple of those tours. But that was I didn't get close enough to meet I was a huge Myron Grombacher fan, who was at that time Pat Benatar's drummer. And the bass player lives here in California, somewhere in Ontario, I believe. And then, of course, there's Neil. And I got to see Pat Benatar a few years ago. Loverboy opened, and then it was Pat and Neil, and then Journey. That was a great show. She sounds better than ever, and she was awesome back then to watch. I mean, to see, because a lot of people, they show, if you go on the internet, there's lots of pictures of her from the 80s, and I got to actually see some of those outfits and her in the 80s bouncing around and doing all those cool things. And then, of course, this is the reason why you got hired for the concert series, is because you were a close fit. You were. I've seen. People don't know, but I book a lot of tribute bands in the summertime for various concert events, and there's a thing called Concert Share, which a lot of people go to in the spring. It's in January to book for the summer concert series all over Southern California. There's like 400 cities. There used to be really like 400 cities that go there, and all these cities would go, and there would be like hundreds of tribute bands or hundreds of bands, and they would get in the concert series. And I picked Jill out of all of these bands to do, because there's like 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 even Pat Benatar tribute bands in the Southland of California.
Yeah, just Southern California alone. There's like 5. There was 5. One moved to Vegas, and then there was 4.
But honestly,
there's a couple of all over the United States, but there's such a cluster right here.
But this is, I saw another one a couple of years ago, and this is yours is the best one. It sounds, it's close. It's very, very close, and your mannerisms, and of course, I know that you're an actress, and you've studied that whole thing, and you and the whole band. Rick, I know Rick for a long time, the bass player, your bass player, and these guys have it down. I mean, they are the real deal. I mean, they are definitely a great show to see. And if you can't go see Pat Benatar, at least you can see these guys. And I guarantee they've been all over the United States too. I've seen they've been to Georgia. Where all have you been?
Georgia, up north, Northern California. Of course, now, if you want to count Vegas, at least for myself, right. And, we'll totally travel and such. I mean, hell, no one's seen anybody right now. I mean, all of Pat's concerts are canceled or postponed till 2021. I was talking about my Mr. Uncle John today, and he hasn't done a concert and because he still works, he's in his 80s, and
Right.
he hasn't done a concert for 5 months.
Wow.
And he probably won't do another concert for the rest of this year. So, I mean, talk about common denominator. None of us are working. We are
It's
all
really
in the
sad.
same boat.
It's very sad.
Everything's canceled.
From all the local bands, all the the little local bands and the solo artists and duos and trios to the the quartets and all the tribute bands and all the major artists are not touring right now at all. I mean, they're like Blake Shelton's doing a drive-through concert. Garth Brooks did a drive-through concert with Trisha Yearwood. I've had one friend. I have a friend who plays in the band Restless Heart, which is a country band, and they were big in the '80s on the countryside. And they did a. They went to I believe they went to North Dakota and did a show, but it's a lot of distancing going on. They don't let people up on stage in the whole bit. It's just too crazy to be out there and about trying to play music and trying to sing. And people are saying now that when you sing that you shoot the aerosol further when you sing louder and all this. It's sad for a lot of bands. I mean, a lot of bands are on unemployment, I'm sure. I mean, people, this is what they do. And I've had lots of bands hit me up and say, we want to work, but I have no work for you because of the fact that all the shows have been canceled. I mean,
we got to put like Jill was saying that they're doing in Vegas. We got to do like a drive-through concert kind of thing, Maybe we get like 3 bands and put them on like a rotating stage with like a wall dividing them. And like cars just park and then it just rotates and a different band comes out every like 20 minutes.
I think it's a great thing.
I mean, it can be done if somebody is creative enough. It can be done. If it makes people feel safe, if they feel like they're safe, they're away from other audience members, whatever it is. I mean, you can't just throw it all away.
Or just put the band in like a glass box. And this like a clear glass box to perform on stage.
Well, I was talking about Alicia Witt earlier. She's also a singer and a musician and artist, and she's been working on they actually wrapped today on if you watch the Hallmark Channel, they do their Christmas shows all year long. They have Christmas in July, and then they do Christmas all through November and December. And she actually recorded a new Christmas show for Hallmark, and they wrapped it up, and they did that via social distancing. I don't know how they did it, but they wrapped it up and it's done. So it can be done. Jill, how do you feel about all that? How do you feel about, are you being social distance with your band a lot? I've seen you doing some neighborhood shows, just getting yourself out there. How's that going with the social distancing and everything?
Well, we chose to, number one, we wanted to get back together after 3 months. And we said, well, let's not rehearse in our tight-knit studio, which is at our drummer Trevor's house. So we said, well, let's move it outside. And then it just sort of grew from there. Well, instead of the backyard, let's bring it out onto the front yard. And I said, do we need a permit to perform on private property right on his big driveway? And he said, no. We looked into it. So we made the first one in May, we just sort of tried it out last minute, let people know, hey, well, we're going to be doing this on the driveway. And it sort of incorporates people just sort of driving by, waving, or all of his neighbors are super supportive. They let people sit on their lawns across the street or next door, everything. Everybody's totally far apart. They got masks on, the whole bit. And us as band members, we're all super far apart. I mean, Tim and I, we live together. That doesn't matter. But everybody else, that there's enough space on the driveway that everybody feels super safe and socially distanced. So we did a big one on the 4th of July. We did like the big socially distanced block party.
Right.
And it went for an hour, 15 minutes, and it was quite successful. We're probably going to do something like that for Labor Day. I mean, there's so many reasons, personal and professional reasons, to do this. I mean, I don't want to get too full of statements and such and all that, because there's definitely there's one side of the community who's like, get out there and perform, and then there's the other side of the community who's like, no, stay inside. What are you doing? Why are you out performing? That isn't safe.
Oh, do you have some Karens that live in your neighborhood too?
Yeah, perhaps. Well, I mean, in the band community, I'm not here to argue with anybody. Right. If a band doesn't feel comfortable yet performing on stage, that is totally.
Yeah. Hey, I know I have a couple of friends that are musicians that are in some tribute bands in the LA area, and that's what they did. They did basically like a garage concert, and people just get their lawn chairs in the neighborhood, sit down, and just kind of watch them, and then they Facebook Live it too. I mean, it's not like a full-fledged stage, but you still get the feel of watching live entertainment,
Well, but here's the thing. Oh, go ahead, Jill.
No, I was just going to say it's all up to the individual band. Some of them want to live stream it and try and get donations because they want to. Some of my friends in Las Vegas have done that because their whole livelihood has been completely put to a stop. They're not earning anything.
And I think more and more people, like, the YouTubers before COVID, donate to my Patreon account, blah, blah, blah. I think people are more open to doing things like that now for bands. Because of the situation we're in, this is how they have to adapt. How do we support that community? Sure, I'll donate to you. What's the PayPal link or what's the Patreon link? Let's do it. Like it makes sense now.
But here's the other thing too that I was going to say earlier. Musicians like Jill, myself, and you, Andrew, too. I know you sing and you like to perform and you act and all that. But you have it in your blood.
It's those Disney people.
It's a part of your blood. It is a part of your blood. It's in your heart. It's in your soul, and you want to get out there and you want to sing and you want to be whether there's a sickness or not, you still want to be a part of it. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And it's just like people have to go to work. This is what we do for a living. This is what we do. And it's in your heart and soul. Am I not right?
No, it's very true. I mean, I have shows like, the payment's not necessary. I said, we just need to get together and do this. Basically, I'm producing the event. We decide on when it's going to be. And I mean, I have never seen something be so mentally crippling if we can't. It's not for money. If we can't just do it,
right,
because that's what we were put here for. And I've heard just a couple of comments that are just so ridiculously untrue, saying we're doing this for our egos and such. And I'm like, really? No, it's called, I want to stay mentally healthy. And to say that is just like, I don't even, it's just a foolish thing to say.
Oh,
it's
no,
like
right.
We're doing it.
I
That's
understand.
why
I have to normally work remotely, and we've talked about this on the show, from my house when I'm doing like voiceovers or if I'm doing things, for the local news and radio and television stations that I do stuff for. It was pretty hard to convince my superiors. Believe it or not, I do answer to people, to please let me come into the station, and I literally mean pretty please. And I was able to negotiate coming in physically once a week to do my job. I can do it from my house, but it, like you said, mentally, it takes a toll. I was not meant to work from home. Like physically, I can't do it. Like I have to have a routine. I have to have an office setting. I have to actually commute and go to my place of work in order to feel like I'm being productive mentally. And I was able to get that at least once a week. So I'm hanging on for dear life. But I want to get back to how it sounds like you've had experience with people talking negative about, the music community and stuff. I think at one point in this interview, you said that it's people even within the community that are being negative. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I try to observe kind of, again, it's, everything's got to have a side, which is
right.
So
then going on that, Jill, here's my question, because there's two sides to every type of industry or field. Like, last week we were doing COVID and teachers, and there's teachers that are for social distancing. There's teachers distancing. Sorry, I don't want to be like a Kevin here and make up words. And then there's teachers that are like, let's get back to school. So with you in the music community, especially in a place like LA, I'm curious to know, what is the solutions from those people that are being negative? I mean, have they come up with solutions on how the community can solve this problem and continue to sustain, or are they just making excuses and whining?
Both, but I haven't seen any really creative, productive ideas coming from any. The creative, productive ideas was, well, if all the venues are shut down, we still got to keep going somehow, again, just to stay sane.
Exactly.
We do the driveway concerts, all of that. But, if somebody, there's always got to be, one person out there who's going to poop on your party and just say, oh, that's that for whatever reason. And you know what? I don't even acknowledge it. This is probably the first time that, great, I've just acknowledged it in public.
Sorry.
But it is. I see the sides of just, they feel it's not safe enough. It's not, you shouldn't be doing it. But I don't even engage it because I know I was there and I know how safe our event was. And I know it was all done for many levels of good for everybody. Everybody was so happy to have something to do on that 4th of July. Otherwise, there was nothing open. There were no restaurants open. There was no firework displays, official. There was nowhere to go. People were so grateful to have that 1 hour of live something.
Yeah. And I think that's important because for the people that are doing that, especially the ones that are like your peers and stuff that are doing that, it's like, okay, I understand. I hear what you're saying because I get that too from people. And my question then is like, well, do you have another solution? Because I'm open to hear that. And there's never a solution. It's just, I need to just get all crazy and complain about this so I feel better about myself. And it doesn't solve anything. So the fact that you came up with an idea to sit there and entertain people, because that's what you do, and it came off positive. At the end of the day, that's all you can do is do your best, right?
Yeah, right. Everybody was happy. I mean, their solution is something entirely different that has nothing to do with music that I'm not going to get into. But
exactly.
And here's the thing also.
They'd rather wait till 2021, and I'm not waiting till 2021 to sing another note out in public. That's not an option for me or my band.
It's not an ego thing either. It's not at all an ego thing.
No.
It's a thing about where you're being nice to your neighbors and doing this just to give them something to do to get out of the house and not be insane. That's what you're doing right now. I mean, you're going out and you're just entertaining. Sure, it's of course it's a wonderful thing that you're doing it, and I can see where people might think it's an ego thing, but it's really not. It's about going out and keeping yourself sane, and people who go to see you enjoy the music and they stay sane too because they're not locked in four walls looking at the lighting or looking at the TV 24/7 or whatever they do inside those four walls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, get out from behind the television. Stop watching the news. Just get outside and live. Just live. Yeah. I mean, it's
so,
however you feel safe doing so. It is totally up to, the
You're
individual.
absolutely right.
LA City and County is going to be tough. I think other venues, other places are going to start to open first. LA County is, I mean, you can almost kiss that goodbye for the rest of the year. That I know.
Now, Jill, like you said, like, I'm not going to wait till 2021. I'm going to do something. I'm going to sing a note now, and more power to you. But now here's an important question, because I mean, wave 2, first off, of this pandemic still hasn't happened yet. So if and when that happens, I mean, the holidays are going to be a very, very interesting time. So are you going to be doing Christmas caroling as Pat Benatar? Because I know she has a Christmas album or two. So I'm just trying to get an idea what your Christmas performances are going to start looking like here.
Well, typically our band, and most tribute bands, it kind of dies out around the holidays anyway.
We're going to need you.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I Christmas carol every year.
Really?
With the pit. I am a Christmas. Oh, in fact, you know what? I forgot when I was a Christmas caroler, my quartet caroled, walked up to a table Pat and Neil and the two daughters were sitting at Disneyland Hotel. I totally forgot that. I totally had a Pat moment, like in 1999 or something.
Oh, wow,
and nobody knew who she was. I was like, are you kidding me? Do you know who we just sang for? They're like, who's that? So, but I digress. Caroling, I was thinking of this the other day. I mean, I don't think any of the companies should really attempt Christmas caroling this year, though. I got to say, if that is close quarters as you're talking, I mean, you have a quartet and they have to be side by side. Number one, I don't think I would Christmas carol this year because of the proximity of everybody. And I don't think anybody's going to hire Christmas carolers this year. I mean, it's sad because there's so many companies here in Southern California, including the one I work with. I don't think anybody should attempt that at all. I don't know, unless they want to stand far away from each other at a mall. But the thing is you have to stand next to each other. And I don't think people are going to want to do that. That's going to be split in half. So that's just my opinion. I think carolers might have to really seriously hang it up this season. That's awful. That's a great source of income. Another source of income gone for us entertainers.
Another source of income also gone will be probably New Year's Eve.
Oh my gosh! Don't
you know, that's a huge night for entertainers, a huge moneymaker for all the bands. That's a huge night, and it's just New Year's Eve. It's just going to be sad, and gosh, it's terrible. And
I think of New Year's, yeah. No, well, actually, I have it like a lot of times a matinee on New Year's. Yeah, that's toast. It's not going to happen.
Now, Jill, I saw that you also back in the day used to do the cruise ship circuit. So I'm assuming, even though you've moved on since then, you still have contacts in that industry.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So then my question to you is, what is entertainment looking like from what you've heard, going out on the ocean? I mean, what's the future supposed to look like for that?
Well, I think not only the entertainment on the cruise ships, I think it's just cruise ships in general have been hit hard. So I don't know when they're going to go back to normal.
How do your friends feel that are still in that industry?
Well, I have a few of them that will be headliners. So, they won't be doing their headlining show on cruise ships anytime soon. And plus the folks that work on the cruise ships, not only are they affected, but there's people on land even affected because they go into ports and they have all of these on land excursions. All of those people have lost their jobs for the summer.
That's right.
I mean, just such a trickle down effect. I haven't been closely following the cruise lines, like when are they going to get back on and stuff. I really hope cruise ships in general just aren't history as well. But yeah, because that's a tough one. I've always said, though, when there's something major like a virus or a fire and stuff on board, after being on cruise ships, I'm like, you don't want to be on a cruise ship for that. It's right. It's never handled well.
When was your last show in Vegas?
My contract closed like November 19th.
Have you been back to Vegas for anything since this craziness has happened?
I was there by a weekend in late June. I was there to celebrate a friend's birthday, and her and I just took a little mini vacation at the Wynn Hotel. Totally laid back. Everybody was just doing what they needed to do. Everybody wore their masks in the casino. I mean, it's a totally different vibe from.
I was just about to ask you, does it feel like Vegas?
I thought it did. Everybody's still gambling and winning and losing money, and our dinners were lovely. We went to dinner, and you sit at your table, and then you took your masks off. I mean, I found it totally pleasant because it wasn't really crowded. It was the weekend before 4th of July. I have a feeling it probably would have got more crowded than fun.
Right. Yeah.
The pools, they limited the number of people at the pools, even for guests. So we got down there mid-afternoon. They're like, we're on a waiting list. And we're like, well, we're guests of the hotel. And they're like, you're on a waiting list. I was like, oh my gosh, really?
Wow.
I'm like, okay, well, what else we got? We'll come back in an hour. And so they just didn't, they kept the numbers in control. But overall, I mean, the vibe of Vegas and just anything out of LA County, I keep ragging on LA County, but it's my
it is what it is, though, right?
It's my chance to rag on LA because it's like the worst place to be.
So the entertainment industry in Vegas is going to definitely change for sure in the future if we ever get back to doing entertainment in Vegas and in a lot of places. How do you feel they're going to do? How do you feel they're going to handle things? How do you feel that do you have any ideas or suggestions of what they might do in the future that they're not seeing right now that you think they should do?
Well, any venue, I mean, if you socially distance everybody in the venue, you know, I mean, you're losing out on seats, and you have to fill the theater a minimum of whatever percent it is to even break even. So, I mean, if you can't sell enough seats, I mean, after everybody's spaced out, if they're still selling less than 50% capacity,
right.
the show's going to
Let me ask you this then, personally for you, obviously the venue's got to pay the band and stuff like that, right? And everything that you just said, you know, holds up true and stuff. So the question then is okay, well, we can't pack it like we used to because we live in COVID now. So less people, maybe that means tickets are cheaper. Maybe that means the band is getting paid less. If that was the case, as a performer who goes on the road to all these venues, would you be willing to take that deal if it meant you can still get out there and perform for people?
Yeah, no, tough question. I have not been presented with that yet. Don't think I haven't thought of all these scenarios already.
Okay. So you're a step ahead.
I'm already aware of, like, you know, venues who were like, well, you worked for this amount before, now we're only going to be able to pay you this much. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be awful. I mean, you know, we weren't like the most expensive band to hire, but I'm thinking of some of the tribute bands that were like at top dollar.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to first take the big cut. You know,
I guess
they're not going to.
I guess the question is if the pay is still reasonable enough to where you're like, I can still make a living at this, just not like before, but I can still make a living doing this. You know, do you take that gig at that particular venue, I guess?
I think so. I mean, I have to look at it's case by case scenario.
Exactly.
But I mean, no, I'm not going to. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, we're not going back to like $100, freaking $400 maximum like bar gigs. I was like, you know, that's the scary part. I'm like, are we going to have to start over again? Like, is it going to be a big hustle for every band? Like, we're starting over again? Like, we got to do the cheap ass bar gigs for X amount of dollars? I said, no, I don't think I'm going to go down that road.
Yeah. You know, now, the fact that you had to contemplate that, though. Yeah. The fact that you had to contemplate that, though, like, are we going to start over again? That actually kind of gives me goosebumps because, you know, I used to be a performer, a singer as well. And the idea you work hard in your career to get to a certain point, then this happens. And then you have to ask yourself, do I need to go back to square one? That's scary. That's super scary. Yeah. Now, if I was, you know, something years old, 30 something, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Well, you know, we're not eating spring chickens, okay? You know, well, I put in my years and I'm like, I'm not starting over again. I'm not starting off at what? I don't think if you become established like you have, you're very established now. You know, you've worked hard since 2013. An established person like this should not have to start over. I mean, you shouldn't have to. I mean, a lot of sure, bar gigs. I mean, there's a lot of bar gigs out there, and those musician guys aren't going to really play. A lot of bars are closed right now, and you are definitely on a different level, and you shouldn't have to start over. Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's my fear. I mean, again, I don't want ego to get in the way of that, but we just have to. I have to see what happens. But I mean, I'm aware of all the scenarios ahead of us. And you know, I don't think it's ego. Your voice is basically echoing a lot of other professional singers and musicians that are out there that make a certain amount of money. They may not be a big name, but they're making a living doing this. And I think you saying that, I think they're all feeling the same way. You're just echoing what all of those professional musicians are going through right now. Oh, yeah. And so many of them know way more than me. I mean, I still feel very new to the tribute rock and roll scene. I mean, I'm still learning a ton every day about this. But, you know, again, this was a little early on for us to happen. But, yeah, you know, bands that have been around for 10, 15 years, like I said, they're making top dollar. I think that's going to be crushing for them. Yeah. And any bands just starting out,
like in the last year or so, are they even going to survive at all? They might just call it quits.
Yeah.
So, maybe we're in the right spot for this craziness to happen.
And you know what? You say that it's going to be crushing to those top tribute bands. I do have some friends that are in some of those top tribute bands, and behind the scenes, because they've gone out to do some shows. I have asked them, like off record, how much of a hit did you have to take for this particular performance?
Oh, yeah.
And it's bad. It really is bad.
Yeah, they're going to have to scale back somehow. Some of them in the last couple of years finally bought their tour vans or tour buses. They're probably going to have to sell. They're going to have to, again, scale back. They've reached a certain level and then just got knocked back.
Yeah. And then who do you sell to if no one else is out there?
That's a bad situation.
And plus I do a lot of theater, and that's toast. I mean, the Hollywood Bowl totally closed this summer. The Amundsen Music Center, they're like, no, we're closed till sometime in 2021, maybe. All the theater community itself. I mean, the whole arts community was just taken such a hit. That's all. I didn't know our lives or livelihoods were so expendable. We're just a minor casualty, I guess. Which
Man, it sucks that you're saying it, but I mean, you're literally just hitting it right on. The way you're saying it is basically how it is, or how it comes off or feels, and it's tragic.
Yeah, no, I'm not ready to retire. It feels like you've sort of been pushed into semi-retirement. I'm like, no, not time yet.
Well,
but we got to.
I don't think a lot of people realize that musicians are having to go through this. They think, well, they're just playing musicians and they're just in a band. They probably have other jobs during the day. A lot of musicians don't have other jobs during the day. This is what they live for. And, they're out of work. They're out of work completely. And this is what they've done just like us being DJs. I mean, I'm a musician and a DJ both. Andrew, same thing. And, a lot of disc jockeys are out of work. A lot of news people are out of work. A lot of musicians are out of work. And I don't see it coming back in the future in any case, in any big overflow I thought when the first wave, we're not even out of the first wave yet, but I thought when we went kind of leveled everything off and went back, the numbers went back down, that my thought in general, and this may still happen in the future, I don't know if the numbers go down, that they will open up all the bars and then the bands will get hired and then people will flock to these places and the numbers will go back up and things will be really good. But then again, you look at it like it is now. I mean, the GDP right now, yesterday was announced 32.9%. That's the worst since the Great Depression. And things are not selling. I mean, there's everybody. I mean, we heard the Pizza Kitchen got announced yesterday. They're going bankrupt. They declared bankruptcy. The California Pizza Kitchen. I mean, stores and businesses are all.
Did they really? California Pizza Kitchen?
Yes, California Pizza Kitchen.
They're out.
They declared bankruptcy yesterday.
And McDonald's is closing hundreds of McDonald's throughout the country. That was the other day.
I don't care about that.
But however, you have stores like Lowe's.
But that's how bad it is. Even McDonald's is closing shop.
I sort of have a running joke up. I'm like, through all of this crisis and everything, I'm like, so how are the fast food joints so not even be talked about or touched about? Like, they're selling garbage and they are still thriving, but that's just me I'm just being a brat
because
right
they're
now.
They're cheap. They're cheap. We had a fast food talk earlier before you came on, and it's just it's terrible how people want to go through the drive-through and just get junk food and get out of the way. And I mean, I've done it before myself, and you being a musician, I'm sure, have been on the road. Let's stop here and get a Coke, or let's stop here and get a burger. You don't have time to stop. You don't have time to stop like Andrew does and eat at Mimi's and pay $50 or call his chef to come over and cook food. You don't have that time.
No. The chef cooks the food and then brings it to my house.
But we don't have time for that because we're on the road. We're driving. We're making hours. We're making time, Andrew. Come on.
Yeah, what a chef, dude. That's sweet.
And you have Lowe's also. I was mentioning before, Lowe's, I just heard earlier today that Lowe's is paying their full-time employees a little benefit. They're giving extra benefits of $300, and their part-time seasonal employees are making $150 extra in a little stimulus thing that they're doing. So I think that's pretty cool how they're doing it. But there's a lot of places that are going bankrupt, and there's a lot of places that are thriving. I don't see. To me, Walmart is the McDonald's of stores anymore. I haven't gone to Walmart. I despise it. I don't feel like
Well, I mean, back when Disney said, you know what, we're not going to do the 65th anniversary at Disneyland, that's when I realized this is bad. Disney is saying no to money,
and they're closed.
And then Walmart says, you know what, we're not gonna be open for Thanksgiving. And then Target followed suit. When corporate America is like, you know what, we don't really need the money right now. We're gonna make a decision that doesn't allow us to make money when we should be making money. That's how you know things must be really, really bad.
They are bad.
Yeah, or they have so much damn money they can take a loss. But that's another subject.
But the fact that they even consider it and then do it, like, I've never seen that before. So that makes me a little more scared that they're saying no to money on important events. I just, wow.
Well, back before you were born, Andrew, when I was a kid. Back in the day before you were born.
Back in the day,
Jill might remember this.
Those days.
Jill might remember this a little bit.
I do remember.
All the stores on Sunday closed.
Really?
Yes, all the stores where I'm from.
That was closed on Easter Day. They would close on Easter. They would close on Christmas Day, Thanksgiving Day. That was totally fine. Everybody bought their stuff before.
And in the South where I lived, every store was closed on Sunday. There was the Sabbath day. The only store that was open, or the only place that was open, was like Tasty Freeze. And you went there after Sunday church, and you had lunch, or you had ice cream. And then you went home. I mean, you didn't go. I mean, that's when I was a kid. Everything was closed on Sundays.
I have a friend in Georgia. He lives in a dry county. So on the weekends, you can't buy liquor.
Yeah. On the weekends only?
Yeah. I mean, you could drive over the county line and do it, but just the fact that you
can't. There's a little planning in that. So, I mean, if they say they're going to be closed on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day, people have been whining for years that they felt these supermarkets or stores should be closing and give their employees a break. So I wouldn't be too scared there about those places being closed on the actual holiday. Like, they're probably like, but see, the message it's sending you, the message is more important than them actually closing those days.
Yes, the message is, and that's what I wanted to get at. It does make me stop and do a double take and read that story a little closer, because it's just kind of unbelievable for at least my generation to see that.
No, it wasn't too long ago that stores. My father, before he retired, worked in the supermarket industry. He was always a general manager for, who remembers Lucky Stores or Gemco?
My grandma used to shop at Lucky's.
Okay, so the cool thing he would do on Easter Day, store was closed, but the manager, had to go in and check the store, just check it out, walk through it. He'd bring the kids in, and then we'd go buy all the Easter jelly beans. That was like our big deal. He'd go ring up because they were all going to be half price the next day anyway. So he's like, let's go in and buy all the Easter jelly beans and shit. So
that's cool.
But when walking through a supermarket when you're a kid and it's closed, you're like, wow. But no one questioned it. Everybody took those holidays off.
Wow.
So, don't be too worried about that.
Yeah, I don't think everything should be open 24/7 anyway sometimes. Especially, I mean, up here where we live, especially Walmart, I mean, it's kind of crazy because Walmart was a regular store, and then they started building the Walmart supercenters, and they've got 3 supercenters up here, or is it 3? Yeah, they've got 3 supercenters up here at Walmart, and the crime the crime that's been going on up here in the high desert has caused all 3 of those supercenters to close at midnight, or maybe it's 10 o'clock. Is it 10?
No, it's 8:30 now, Kevin.
Is it 8:30?
I just had to go to Wally World yesterday, and I was going to take a picture. They open at 10 a.m., and they close at 8:30
Oh, my gosh. See, it was before, when they first built those superstores here in the high desert, they were 24/7. You could go in there at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning after working at the bar or being whatever, and pick stuff up and shop and go home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I remember they made it midnight, that you couldn't go because of all the crime. And then I believe it was 10. I didn't realize it was 8:30 now. 8:30, really?
Yeah, I just saw the sign yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's early.
That's terrible. That's so sad.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird to what we've become accustomed to, and it's tough to rewind it back. Because I mean, I remember like Gemco and Lucky Stores. You didn't get in there by 8:30. Like the store closed at 9. Man, I mean, you had to have your shopping done by 9 o'clock. But yeah, today, earlier, younger generations, that's unheard of. Everything's open till midnight or 24 hours a day.
Yep.
And fast food is the thing. You go through the McDonald's or through McDonald's up here closes at 11 o'clock, but it's Del Taco's still open. But you could go through and get fast food 24/7, or you used to go to Denny's. I don't know is Denny's still open at all? I mean, is it still open, Andrew?
That is not a place that I frequent. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've been at Denny's.
It's too old for him. It's too old fashioned for Andrew. I forget about that. Yes.
I mean, no, it's not a place that's on the list.
Well, college days there, but or after concerts, So, yeah, are they open? Who knows? Well, there's no indoor dining, so that's not happening.
Jill, I can't tell you how grateful I am that you came on the show today.
I know. Thank you so much, Jill.
Oh, here, wait. Come here. Wait. Come here.
You got to bring the Neil Giraldo part. Come on over, Tim.
I know. He's just over there.
Come and say hi, Tim.
By the way, I have to ask you, Jill, because this has been bugging me since the beginning of our interview. Over your shoulder to the right, there's something dangling from the ceiling. What is that?
Every damn interview or Zoom meeting we have and stuff, and it's a little hummingbird.
Okay.
I can't believe you could see it. It's tied to a ceiling fan.
Oh.
So it's a string tied to the chain to the ceiling fan.
And without the ceiling fan, it's just something that's just circulating there.
Tim, you got to come on and at least just wave to us.
Now I see it in the picture. Yeah. No, it's this hummingbird. I got birds and animals and everything running all over the place. But good observation. I always forget it's there.
You going to make Tim come on and say, is Tim going to come say hi to us or not?
Tim's being shy.
He's being shy today. Tim?
Well, he just drove like 8 hours. He was in Arizona and he just got back. So he's just like,
you got to send his love, our love to him for him. He's a great guy. I like Tim a lot. And Rick.
Jill, again, we want to thank you for coming on today. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you. We got to have you back when Legends is happening again in Vegas.
Yes, definitely would like to have you back.
Yes, we can only just pray that these shows in Vegas in particular, I mean, they're going to be the last to open. They've opened casinos, restaurants. They have not opened any of their shows yet. So, I mean, you just only hope that they will be able to survive long enough that they can open up.
By the way, one more quick question. Who else do you do besides Pat Benatar? I've heard you do like Linda Ronstadt. I think you've done, what was the other one that I heard you do? I want to say Led Zeppelin, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was Black Dog or something like that.
Oh yeah. We do some non-Benatar. We do Linda Ronstadt, Heart. So we do a little Barracuda. We do Led Zeppelin, Ronstadt, Heart, Blondie, Queen, Rush.
You should do Pat Benatar covers to all of those songs.
Yes, with a Pat Benatar influence. Well, who do you think she was listening to? I mean, before Pat, there was Linda Ronstadt. Before Pat, there was Led Zeppelin. That's who she was listening to in her room going, in fact, she said, I'm like Robert Plant. Who is going to be my Jimmy Page? So she kept looking for that guitarist. I need a Jimmy Page, and I will have that concept, that idea fulfilled. And Neil walked in the room. They auditioned him, and he walked in, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's him."
He worked on Rick Springfield's album first. Neil Giraldo worked on Rick Springfield's album first, the Working Class Dog album. That was the Neil Giraldo produced that album pretty much. He played guitar on it, did some things with that album.
Oh yeah.
So Working Class Dog was a huge album for Rick Springfield. It's got Jesse's Girl, or not Jesse's Girl. It's got whatever the first song was that was really, maybe it is Jesse's Girl. It was a real huge song.
Yeah, Jesse's Girl was his big collaboration. And he's just the brains behind everything.
I'm going to put my Linda Ronstadt request into you now. I know you do Blue Bayou, and that song's okay for me. But I'd like to see, and I know you can do this, and this is why I'm putting this into you, because I know your voice, I know you can sing. I want you to work on How Do I Make You by Linda Ronstadt. You know that song?
Yes, that was her Entering the 80s. That was like a 1980.
That's a rocking one, and I know you can do it. I mean, I wouldn't ask normally because Linda Ronstadt is the bomb in my book. She always has been from the 70s and 80s, but everybody does Blue Bayou, which is it's just it's a standard, and everybody does You're No Good. Let's do some really good. I want to see you and the band do How Do I Make You. Just rock.
Oh yeah, it's like a spastic 1980.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about doing sort of a Ronstadt tribute, but not like a tribute where you look like her. Right. I wanted to do it more
a few of her songs, right?
Cabaret style, and that was one of the songs that I was picking every era for her.
I mean, Silver Threads,
entering the 80s,
Silver Threads and Golden Needles. That's a great one.
Yeah.
So I mean, but everybody does Blue Bayou. I mean, Blue Bayou is the one that everybody standardly does. I guess it's this easy one to do. I don't know, but man, I could see you doing How Do I Make You. That's the reason why I want to say that to you.
You're actually the second person that's requested that.
All right.
So.
See, that guy has good taste. I have my.
So, but I'll even attempt some of her Spanish stuff as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I've got that covered. But COVID shot that to hell for this year, so we'll work on it.
All right. Well, Jill, we're gonna let you go because we got to wrap up our show. But again, we want to say thank you so much. Everybody else, if you want to go online and look at Legends in Las Vegas, you'll find who she is and everything that she's doing with with Pat Benatar, and hopefully those shows come back very, very soon.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for everybody who's doing it right now. We might even do a little tribute series here, Andrew. I think we're going to get some of these other tribute bands on here, too. That'll be good.
That'll be really good. Anything for ratings, I'm all for.
But, Jill, we love you, and thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate you.
Awesome. No, thank you very much. All right. And then
safe.
I will see both you boys very soon.
You will.
Very soon. Take care, Jill.
Right. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, Jill Marie Burke from the Live from Earth band, tribute to Pat Benatar and so many other things that she does at Legends in Concert in Las Vegas. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate you.
All right.
Well, Andrew.
Wow, Kevin, what a great show we had today.
Another great show. I mean, we're doing so good. It's so fun. I'm so happy to have her on. She's been a great friend to me, and she pulled us out of some different situations. Her and Tim, her boyfriend, and Trevor the drummer, and Rick the bass player. Yeah. All great musicians, all great people.
Now, I've had the opportunity for all of our listeners and viewers that are watching. I've had the opportunity to meet her face to face, and the screen's a little pixelated. If you guys go to YouTube to go check her out, you'll see just how accurate she really is as becoming Pat Benatar.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It's amazing.
She really she's definitely, and the mannerisms too. She's very, Jill she's very much an actress, and she's been on some great, theater stuff, and she has the animation. She has if you want to call it, is it animation they call it? She has the move. She has the
semantics.
Right. She has the personality, and she's outgoing, and she really she draws you in. I mean, she really does draw you in.
The funny thing is I know she just recently got the Vegas gig, and I'm not saying I put this out in the universe, and I never told her this, but I think the first time I saw her perform, I think the first question I had said to you is, wow, where did you get her? She's definitely like Las Vegas material.
Right.
But that wasn't even a thought at that moment in time. So I don't know if I put it in the universe, but I think I did.
Well, I mean, like I said, I picked her out. I mean, I've seen several Pat. I go to this show every year called Concert Share, and I didn't go last year. But, my band goes too, and my band, I had an Alabama tribute band. So we all did that for many years, and I went there, and then I had the Working Poets before that, as I've said before. And you go to these shows, and you get hired for these summer concert series, and these, all these shows are anywhere between, 300 and 3,000 people or whatever. Some of them are even bigger than that. But, I picked her out there was like 4 or 5 Pat Benatar tributes there, and you look at her, she comes in to this show, to this seminar where you hire these bands and pick out these bands, And her and Tim, they're dressed like Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. They look just like them. I mean, they're dressed like them, the mannerisms, and she has a great table display and the whole bit. And
she even has the petiteness, like the body shape of Pat Benatar. That's what makes it so crazy.
She works out, and she's definitely she keeps herself.
It's a full-time deal. I mean, it's the real deal. You know, you are getting as close to the real thing as you will get without buying the expensive ticket for the real thing.
And you didn't see Tim, but Tim is a phenomenal guitar player. He basically is just real kind of quiet, and he doesn't say much, but he gets up there and he just shreds it. He just plays those licks note for note, and he's just phenomenal. Same thing with Trevor, the drummer, and Rick Zaccaro, the bass player. They're all just phenomenal musicians, and they play those things note for note. And if you close your eyes and really listen when you're there live, I mean, if you just close your eyes and listen on the YouTube, it sounds like Pat Benatar and the whole crew.
And I know for everyone that's listening, like, this is like one of the first music artists that we've gotten on the show. The reason for that is because we're in a pandemic. There's this thing called racism. There's just so many world or national events right now that are taking place that we have to stay consistent with what's happening right now. There's an episode in the future that we're working on for cancel culture, because that's a thing now.
We have lots of great episodes coming up.
Originally, me and Kevin wanted to bring on more music than anything, and I think we're at a place where we can comfortably start intermixing that into our episodes. Sometimes there'll be tributes, sometimes there'll be independent artists, and we'll play music, we'll listen, we'll review, we'll talk to them, we'll help you guys discover new entertainment out there, because we're living in interesting times now, so if we can be an outlet for you to discover new things, then we're going to try to do that.
We're definitely going to try to do that. And by the way, I want to acknowledge the other girl that's in the Pat Benatar band. Her name is Tuzi Ellis. And she's a keyboard player. She's joined Jill a few times. She wasn't really in the band for a while, and I guess now she's in the band. But Tuzi's quite I believe she does Christine McVie from Fleetwood Mac. She does. I mean, all these people are very talented. So, yes, I think we will be getting more great musicians on here. We might get some of these, there's several groups. There's a Fleetwood Mac tribute band called Mirage that I'd like to get on here. And there's a Leonard Skinner tribute band called Leonard Skinner and Friends, or Friends of Skinner, which is done by a group called Southbound. And there's a Duran Duran, and we've had there's a bunch of different tribute bands that we can get on here, and we're going to make some of these shows we're going to do a little tribute band series. And then of course next week we've got, I have to say again, I'm excited about this. If you've grown up in anywhere during the late 80s or early 90s,
which I did not do,
which you've heard about the group, but the group Milli Vanilli, you've heard about it.
That's because I'm a recording artist, of course I know.
Right. Well, Milli Vanilli was huge. I mean, I've actually dug up an air check of mine from the 90s when I was on the air.
I talked to my sister-in-law from Gen Z, and I was like, yeah, we're going to get the actual singers from Milli Vanilli. She's like 24.
Right.
She does not know who Milli Vanilli is. And I'm like, what?
See?
So I'm like, hold on.
See, now you know how I feel about you.
Because her mom's a baby boomer, and I'm like, she's got to know who this is. So I was playing some stuff on our Alexa over her head, had no idea, and I'm like, oh my God, my mind is blown right now. But that's just how it is. That's the detachment. Just a couple of year difference. That's the detachment.
But see, that's the good thing about you and I that I've said before. I'm the older guy here, obviously, and I know a lot about the baby boomer generation, and what's going into it. And you kind of pick it up because you're Generation X, right? No, you're a millennial. No, you're millennial.
That's my brother.
Basically, we have a wide variety, and you're learning things from me, and I guess I'm learning things from you about this whole industry. Because
I learned that the Mathis brothers actually did music too, not just selling beds.
Well, Johnny Mathis, he was huge. I'm telling you, he was huge, and
I believe you.
If you have to check it out, he was a very huge crooner. The women loved him, and he's got a really great voice. If you like big,
I thought you said he had a Tinder. I was like, what?
No, he's not on Tinder.
Gotcha.
He has a tender voice.
Again, that's the generation gap, right?
Right, but I mean, Johnny Mathis was really huge at one time, and when I found out, I was like, wow. I mean, he's Jill's uncle, and it's crazy. And And people will appreciate that. The older people will appreciate that, especially. I didn't realize he was 80 years old, but time flies by so fast, and especially with this COVID thing going on, you gotta be sure to count every day, because you don't know when you're gonna be around the next day or not anymore.
That's right. Let's wrap the show, Kevin.
I agree. Let's wrap it up. We're glad you're here. First of all, we haven't said anything about our links today, but we want you to know that you can check us out. Where, Andrew?
Facebook.com/the best podcast ever.
And on Gmail at
KOAC podcast at gmail.com.
Very beautiful. And so check us out and write us an email. Tell us how you feel about things. Maybe you have a guest that you want to come on, or maybe you are a guest who wants to come on and you have a product or something, or
and
maybe you're a
if
singer.
You're listening to this on Google or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or iHeartRadio or Spreaker, just go ahead and hit subscribe so you get notifications when we have new episodes, because it's the best place to listen to us.
But we have some great episodes coming up, as you were saying earlier about, what was it again, about the
cancel culture?
Cancel culture. We're going to be doing that.
I'm working on a panel as we speak.
That's really cool. And of course, we're going to have Linda and Jody Rocco here from Milli Vanilli next week.
A bunch of other indie artists will be on future episodes.
That's
we'll
right.
Get some actors. We got some good stuff coming up to round out the second half of the season.
And
here.
we have also a couple of people who do things for the homeless and things like that too. It's going to be really cool. So, my name is Kevin O'Neill, and that's Andrew Caravella. And Kevin and Andrew have a podcast, and check us out on all those venues and all those different websites. And we'll see you next week. God bless you. Take care. Number 10. See ya.